8:30. I'll call the Animal Shelter Board meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from March 20th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I don't know if I can second it because I wasn't here, but I'll second it.
Yeah, I suppose
You should probably do it.
I'll second it. Yep, and you probably can't vote. So if you take a look at the minutes, it's the second page. No. Right there. So this are the minutes from last time. So again, basically it was discussing social media policy, approving the cat kennels. The scholarships that she's got, out of state travel, out of county travel. And that was basically it. So, okay, the motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes from March 20th. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carried. Public comment.
None of mine are agenda items. I can certainly speak.
Oh, during fracas or,
Should we do that?
yeah.
That's about event.
Yeah, okay. Okay, again, I guess to begin with, introduce our new board member, Jeremy Vincent, who just was appointed to the board about almost a month ago. He's on this committee. I guess just a few things to welcome you and to tell you a few things about the animal board since you haven't been here before. Again, this is going to be a rather short meeting because our animal shelter manager and humane officer isn't here today. She's in training in Las Vegas. So I've got all the information that we need. Our standard thing here, well, you can see the minutes here. We only have one item that is direct on this, and we're missing one board member, Tom Kudo. You may have met him on other committees or whatever, or know him. So we have Tom and Jeremy now.
Yeah, as I understand it, Tom's over in personnel
Right.
now.
Right.
Yeah, so.
So we're the four ones, and we have the budget again, and that, so again, today is going to be a shorter meeting, but so as we go through the meeting, we'll kind of clue you in. So the first thing on the agenda is to approve additional costs on the cat kennels. There's a invoice in there. We have already approved, and this comes out of the gift fund. We have 4 funds. One is the general operating fund, and then there's the other 3 funds, which we will go into when we look at the financial statements.
Okay.
So there's an invoice here from Direct Animal Products. It's total $10,860. That is for ordering 3 separate cages for cats to display them, really, little new homes for them. So people can see them. We've already approved expending up to $10,000. It is not coming out of the operating fund, it's coming out of the gift fund. We have a gift fund that is only for special projects and special uses of the Animal Control Board. I mean, we have to approve it. This has already been approved. We approved up to $10,000, and you can see this invoice is for $10,860. It's from this shipping and handling freight. We didn't know how much it would be. So Dawn wants an additional $1,000 approved out of the gift fund to cover these costs. She said this 2,100 is probably way high. But just in case, she wants an additional $1,000. So I'll entertain a motion to approve an additional $1,000 for the direct, kennel or cat cages, or they call them here, cat condos. So again, 10,000 has already been approved, so I need a motion to approve an additional $1,000.
We'll move.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, motion is made and seconded to approve an additional $1,000 for the direct condos. And again, she's pretty sure that this $2,100 will be much less anyhow, because they just gave her an estimate. So, okay, motion made and seconded. If there's no further discussion, we can vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. The next thing on the agenda is options for building and remodeling. We leave that on there all the time. We did have discussion. We also had an architect and everything that came up with plans for enlarging the animals. Have you ever been to the animal shelter?
I haven't yet. I haven't seen the animal shelter out here.
Okay.
So
Um,
only the online presence, which is good.
Oh, okay. They built a new animal shelter about 9 years ago now, 2018 or something like that, I think, or 7 years ago. It was really built kind of too small to begin with, really. But again, it's a matter of money. So we were looking to add an addition on there. Well, we had architects come and look at it, and we picked one and everything. They came out with I don't even remember the dimensions anymore. Was it 20 by 40 foot addition to it, basically for the cats, so that people can see them and they can get them adopted quicker. But the cost of that was $616,000. Well, that's not feasible for us to have the money, or to anything, can't come out from the county or anything. So that's been put on hold or anything. So that's why we're ordering some of these other cages and everything to get the cats more visible to the people. If you go out there and look, you will see some of the cats are stored actually in basically was a garage, and there's no windows, all that's, it's a storage room that they have cat food in it, well, dog food too, and everything. So it's not the best thing. So we leave this option, so in case there's any other comment or people come up with things. Do you guys have any new things about that at all? Okay, so let's move on then. The next thing on the agenda is monthly animal shelter and humane officer report. Okay, you do have. No, like I say, Dawn is in Las Vegas. And she did send, I got this last night, after 9 o'clock. If you look at, right now, there are 42 animals at the shelter and 1 in foster care. And since February 20th, our last meeting, there have been 20 adoptions, and she's written 2 citations and sent out 2 warning letters. And then these are the detailed shelter items that she sent. You can see the cats, of course, everybody's named. And you can see where they are, playroom. There's 2 playrooms, basically, when you come right in the shelter on the right-hand side, and then cat quarantine. And if you look over there on the far right-hand side, it says adoptable. Okay, these would be adoptable. You can see going down there, the second thing, they're not adoptable because they're kittens and they're only 7 months, and it's too young to be adopted because they need to be spayed and neutered. And so they're not available for adoption yet. They've got to get a little bit older so they can do that. And if you look at the names, they try to keep, some of these are family groups. So like on the second page there, you got Jelly Roll, Jezebel, Josie, Jitterbug, and Jade. They go by the letter of an alphabet and do all that. Again, they are not available yet. The second one down there, you can see most of those are available. And then the dog kennels. There are 3 of them that are impounded, and so they are not available. It's a court case, so we can't discuss that any further.
Understood.
And some other stuff impounded, so they're not available. There's 1 dog in foster care. And then, well, she has them listed by the hallway, then this is all Raven, Road, Radar, Merlin, Maria. And then in the laundry room, I mean, like, we have them wherever we can. There's 2 of them there and everything. So right now, like I say, she's got, this is a list, she gives us this every month, and how many are coming in or gone out. So again, right now, 42 animals again at the shelter, 1 in foster care, 20 adoptions since the last board meeting, which is good. And she's written 2 citations and sent out 2 warning letters. Well, again, normally she is here to present this, but obviously not. And outside of that, do you have any questions or anything? So she gives a listing. But you really need to go out there, or we should take you out there.
Yeah, I need to go out there.
And show you, see what we're looking at. Tom's been out there a number of times. And
Yeah, it would be good to see the conditions, right? And see what kind of scale that you guys are working with and what kind of problems are out there.
there, well, like I say, it would be great if we,
And all the cool things that are happening too, right? With 20 adoptions.
They
that's
have-
big.
they have a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might drive by on my way home today.
Well, I was gonna say, because you've got finance next,
Right.
and then after that, we could, maybe just run out there and take a look, or show you too.
I think so.
So I guess that, unless, Tom, do you have any questions on the
No,
report or anything? It's pretty standard thing. Dawn does a great job of both being the manager of the animal shelter and then the humane officer. They're 2 distinct things to writing citations. Okay, then let's look at the budget review. Again, these statements are 2024. I believe next month they will start giving us 2025 statements. They're still, because we don't have finance director, things are a little bit behind. And so if you look at this, again, this is all budget year 2024, which is a calendar year. You can see where we're over a little bit on the wages. Before, we had 3 county board members and then 2 city members. The city was part of it. The city pulled out. And so that increased our expenses, and they were liable for 40% of the costs. And they will be for 2024, but 2025, they're paying nothing. They pulled out. So looking at these, we have been over this before. Nothing really has changed since the last board meeting. Because they're still closing out 2024.
Does the city still drop off strays and use the facilities?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Dawn has a good working relationship with both the sheriff's department and the city. So if we just look at this going down here, you can see where we're over the biggest one. I got a frog in my throat. If you look at 356 on the front page, the last 3 digits, the auto and gas maintenance, a lot of this, the animals have to be taken to like Neilsville to be spayed or neutered because the vets here don't have room. They don't have time. They're too busy. So we have to take, so I think in 2025, because that's a legitimate sense, we're gonna put like mileage or something and have those mileage expenses to say Neilsville or Eau Claire or wherever they're taking them, taken out of the spay neuter fund, rather than charged against the operating budget on that. And if you turn the page, the second page there, the top half, again, where it says total expenditures. So we were over by 4,000 that. The second half of this, again, our statements are a little bit different than what you're used to. The second half of the page is the revenue. If you look at like the fifth line down, that's the city share. They still owe us, well, I don't know, they may have paid it, but that's what they are being 2024. They still owe us, and that's going to be their 40%. And whether that's been paid yet or not, that I don't know. But that will be the amount. That is not put in here yet. I put that in, but we know that that's the amount. The shelter receipts right above it. People give money or they, that's like when they do adoptions and other stuff like that, there's a fee and everything like that. So that's those monies. So we're ahead on that because we only budgeted 10,000, we got 15,000 in. Again, the city share, well, enough said about that. Shelter donations dropping down. Excuse me. That is if people come in and say, okay, I want to donate to the animal shelter, and we ask them, okay, do you want spay, neuter, the gift fund, the building fund, or operations? They have to specifically state. So this is something quite new. They say, well, we want to go to operations, or they say, well, I want you to buy dog food with it or something. Well, this is the only place that we can put it. So this is people doing donations. So that helps us out a lot. It relieves the burden on the operating account.
Right, it does.
And then if you drop down there in the middle, going by the middle column, you see $880.22. That is transferred from the gift fund. That's what these other items that we just approved come from. There is a gift fund, but any expenditure out of the gift fund has to be approved by this committee. Dawn cannot just spend out of it. She has to get our approval to spend any money out of the gift fund. And then transfer the one underneath that 26,612.72. Again, that has not been posted for the year. That is, well, all dogs in Russ County have to be licensed.
Right.
So they have to buy a dog eat tag. And so this is what we get, and all that comes to the animal shelter. There's a small portion that goes to taxes to the state, but this is what, again, this has not been posted, but
No, it's good to see.
it's this will be the actual amount. And it should be higher for 2025 because again, we raised some of the fees and everything. So again, helping us do it. So again, this is it. Now, this is the thing. This account is the operating account. This is for operations. If you go to the next page, this one, it says building project, I believe in that order. This, how do I say this? Again, the top half, so 6,500, that was the amount that we had to pay the architect for doing designs to build the addition to the animal shelter, which came out to be $616,000, which is way out of line. So it was
Especially for a 2540 building, that seems.
That's almost more than the whole animal shelter cost when it was built just a few years ago.
Yeah,
So,
that's crazy.
yeah. So that was the building expense. We took it out of the building thing because we had money for that. And then you can see the other stuff. Some people donate to the building fund, and then there's interest on there. The only thing that changed from last month's, Tom, is the interest went up a little bit. They posted some more interest. Other than that, nothing changed. So if you look at that, we spent 6,500. We got, so you can see about $2,000 more revenue than we spent. But we have, this is the carry forward thing.
Mhm.
The account you just saw, the operations account, that zeroes out, or I mean, starts all over. This one, 12/31/23 fund balance was 15,000. You can see it down there.
There you go.
And so basically, we've gotten about another $2,000 from this year, so that you could add that on there, so it'd be about $17,000 in the building. Again, you can see the levy, there is no levy on this. The taxpayers at all.
That's right.
So again, so then if you turn the page on that one, this is the spay neuter fund. I see they changed the name on that. Again, the cost of going down, taking them and everything was $23,000. We budgeted 12. But again, you have to take them out of city because the vets here are too busy. They just can't get them in. And so when we want them to be spayed or neutered before they're adopted. So it's both dogs and cats. So we spent 23, but we got donations in, and they do have some fundraisers. Donations were 21,000. We do have aluminum cans. You've probably seen that for other things too that they throw on. So we got 2,800 in on that. So according to this, we broke about even, just about $1,000 to the good. But again, what I just mentioned was we're probably this next year going to transfer the mileage, at some rate that we come up with, into this fund for taking them to be spayed or neutered, because that is a legitimate expense against this account. So,
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
so at the beginning of the year, we had 30,000 in there, so we probably are ending up roughly adding $1,000 to that balance. Again, no levy. And then the last one on this is the gift fund. Again, no tax levy. This is the gift fund. The only expenses, well, you saw that one of $880.22 on the regular line. There was a transfer from here to the animal shelter.
Mhm.
That was something that, again, we approved. The only other expense is if they want to make donations online, I believe this $211 is a PayPal charge. And so that comes out of this account. And then the gift fund, they got about $3,500 of gifts for the gift fund this year. So again, you can see, well, say roughly $2,000 more. So we started out the year with 82. So you just add 2,000 more to that. Again, this is limited, again, no tax levy, limited to special needs and projects. That's what this fund was set up for.
I think it's important that you're calling that out. No tax levy.
Yeah, no tax levy on these other three.
Yeah.
So basically,
Some folks don't understand that a lot of this is dependent on volunteer efforts, people giving money, how much we care about the animals.
exactly all volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, any questions on the budget review? Again, nothing really changed since the last one. This is still 2024. Hopefully next month we will get January through April 2025 expenses. Right, and starting in May, we have to do that budget adjustment thing come up with, which will be interesting for everybody. Okay, next thing on the agenda is to approve the bills. Again, this time it's very short. She doesn't have much here. If you look at that, again, this is Clark Humane Society. That was their charge for spay neuter. Again, for that, it's news that, I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory. animal shelter. So I would need a motion to approve payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
I will second this
Okay,
motion.
motion's made and seconded to approve the bills. Any further discussion?
What's this on here? Credit card fee. Removal of deceased horse. Why should we have to pay for that? I would think the owner should.
I've got to think about that for a second. This was a horse that was dying and, the credit card fee, they had to, well, it's part of her humane officer thing too, I believe, and everything. When an animal dies, you have so many hours to remove it, like 24 hours or something like that. And so she had to get it out. I believe she billed the owner. Again, don't quote me on that. We'll have to check with her. But she had to pay the rendering company or, the disposal company because it had to get removed like right away. And this came up also on finance. Why are we paying that? But this is something that had to be done. And again, it's it's a time thing within the time limits after an animal dies like that. So would be what that was. Pretty small, but.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just the fee for the card
Right.
still.
Fee removed.
Yeah, the removal cost
Was
itself.
a lot.
But on a
Was
different.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve payment of the bills. All those in favor say aye.
I
Opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, next thing on the agenda is practice. Any report from that? I think, okay, yes.
I'll jump in then. I just wanted to give an update on some events we've had in the past and people working on. I'm Deb Tweeten. My husband is Tom Ralston.
Okay,
Volunteer at the shelter and
do all sorts of good stuff.
try to elevate, get animals adopted, et cetera. So we started doing Tractor Supply meet and greets in November. We're trying our phones every other month. We've had 2. They've been very successful. The one in January, all but one animal was adopted as a result, and it draws a lot of people out. Well, unfortunately, and the store manager just loved having us there. Unfortunately, he's no longer with Tractor Supply.
Oh, no.
I know, because we were gonna try and do it in March and then this month and found out he's not there, but I've talked to the new manager. Actually, I stopped by yesterday. The assistant was, she is gonna talk to them. I'm trying to continue. So, he said check back with her in May. So we'll do that. We'll try to get it
Yeah, keep that going.
rocking and rolling again, because we did a lot of promoting. And it was just amazing on Facebook, the people that were following and coming in the store. So, and the other thing he did too, at least for the first one, we also did a supply drive in conjunction. So people that were buying supplies for the shelter got a 15% discount. So it was just a great event. So anyway, we'll keep trying.
Okay.
Another event that we would like to do, I've discussed this with Dawn, is do a little partnership with the boutique in the library. It's the shop below the library that sells used books. And do an event for little kids where we would read some dog stories. Little kids would be there and we would have a dog there. Of course, you never know ahead of time which adoptable dogs are available, because obviously it has to be a dog that's very social and, could handle 10 little kids. But Dawn suggested if we did not have an adoptable dog, we could reach out to a family who's adopted, maybe with kids, and we could have them come in. I was out there yesterday, talked to Nicole. So we're going to try and shoot for June. I've already bought some stuffed dogs. We could do some little giveaways. it just would be a fun thing for moms to bring their kids in, free event for them. And also elevate the shelter, it'd be promoted as a shelter event. So we're working on that. And then Mary Heath called me a few weeks ago. Mary Heath is on the Spay Neuter Fund. She sort of runs that. We did a fall fundraiser. They did a spring one last year. It only raised about $1,000. So we don't have a big goal, but they did a plant sale. We're not doing that. We're trying to figure something else out. I think I'd mentioned previously, Mickey at the golf course who owns Mickey's on Flambeau. I've had a little trouble reaching him, but I'm going to keep pursuing that. If he's still willing to do a golf fundraiser, we could do that for the Spay Neuter Fund. So that would be pretty cool. So working on that. And then when I was out yesterday, talking with Nicole, and we were just kind of brainstorming things we can do. And she said, it's been a long time since they've really, since the shelter was open, promoted it in terms of the public coming in. So she said, maybe we could do some kind of an open house, particularly once the new cages are in. Maybe do it, maybe have like a little root beer float thing to draw people out. So anyway, we're just kind of hatching a plan to do something like that. But that would be a lot of fun too, to draw people out. And I think if we had like a little hook, whether it's ice cream or whatever, I'm sure we could find people to donate. You know, it wouldn't come out of.
Yeah, we'll take care of that because it can't come out of obviously county funds. So.
Right. But I think we can pull that off and get people out to meet adoptable animals. And because I think there's still a lot of people who really don't know that it's there, or all the terrific animals that are there. So anyway,
Good.
that's my report.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Good. Yeah, some of the animals that they have, like I say, some of them are involved in court cases. Some of them, there's another area that had a lot of feral dogs. And so you can't, they're not adoptable because they're feral. Some feral cats are adoptable in that if you have a farmer and he needs cats to take care of some things, you can do that. But they have to be
program.
right. But they need to be, you know,
Spayed and neutered.
normally the animals have to be socialized. I mean, so they don't attack people or, you know, things like that. So that's an issue too. So with that, anything else either one of you have or questions? Jeremy, since you're new, anything?
No, this is all somewhat what I expected from the shelter board.
Well, again,
I'm not surprised yet. I do think it's good that we have extra funds that are not produced by levy. And I think it's good here that the community is really coming forward to help keep the shelter going in as good condition as it is. And we're doing what you need to do to alleviate the kind of population pressure on the cats. So.
yeah, well, like I say, you can see, you know, which ones, you know, spay neuter, that's, I don't know how often she takes them to Clark County, but well, it depends on how many are available or need and whether they have openings too. They used to have a program here called Purple Cat. And they would come up and spay or neuter for a very reasonable price. They would have one day and they would have like 30, 40, 50, even more people sign up and do a mass clinic, if you will. They had to pay for it, but it was very reasonable. But again, shortage of veterinarians and everything, they had to cancel that back. She still does it, but it would be in Eau Claire. So we do still take some there, but you know, if she can get more help, that lady who runs it would like to bring it back up here and everything too. Again, it's to stop the unwanted, you know,
Right.
pregnancies and.
Like last year, we had, how many, at one point, 80 something cats shelter.
Yeah.
So we're doing much better right now.
Well, and like I say, she said they had 20 adoptions since our last meeting, which is good, you know, but they keep coming. I mean, people keep dropping them off and
Well,
doing all that.
Yeah, I mean, I live on an old farm and we see stray cats come through from time to time. Even last night when I was driving home, there was one on the other side of the street. You can't catch them.
Yeah.
And so like, how do you deal with a rural feral cat population? It's gonna be a challenge.
Well, she's taking care of Dawn's doing a great job and she's taking care of a lot of, there's one issue and we also are a no-kill shelter.
Right.
So that makes a difference. When we say that, if an owner wants us to put an animal down, we will do that. I mean, they get charged for it, but you know, we will do that. But we don't just, well, we gotta, some people are saying, well, if they've been there more than a year, put them down because you got to make room and everything. No, we got a notice on that and everything that we are a no-kill shelter and everything. We voted that in, what, 2 years ago now, on that. So we do not kill animals unless it's, unless, they bring in a cat and its back is broken and, it's
Yeah.
hit by a car and it's a humane thing to do.
Right.
So
Um,
that stuff we do, but
that kind of prompts a question. When you made the transition a couple of years ago, did you guys find it increased? I think probably population went up, but did you find things changed a little bit for the shelter? Were there any changes going from a shelter a kill shelter to a no-kill shelter?
well,
More animals than I
You
think.
got more animals, right?
yeah.
People start bringing them in more?
So because they thought, they're gonna do something with them. They're not gonna just take them in and kill them.
Right.
They're gonna try to find the best way to deal with it. Oh,
It does help fundraising a little bit too. There are people who do not want to support a kill shelter. And they are more apt to support a shelter that
don't kill.
That's the edict in my household also. My wife has made that very clear. There's no extra killing. And then was there any feedback from Dawn? Was Dawn here 2 years ago? From other operators of the shelter regarding that change? And I'm just
Well,
asking,
Dawn-
so I understand.
Dawn,
She was here when we changed
yeah, she was here when we changed it. Yeah, but she, well, of course, she was for it and everything. The previous ones, well, going back years and years, they did kill a lot.
that. They didn't have a nice place for.
Well, yeah, the old shelter was really pretty bad.
Right.
But no, they did have well, I don't want to say they had a kill policy, but they killed a lot of animals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they were killing for lack of space.
Right.
yeah. And we don't do, Dawn has a lot of connections with other animal shelters and all of that stuff. And so if we have a whole bunch of cats, well, maybe Douglas County and Superior could take them. And so we transfer stuff around and everything like that. She's done a lot of good with that, with dogs and everything too.
No, I think that's good. That's better management
Oh.
overall. Better management.
So people can go online and look and see what animals are available at which shelter. And so, because we're all on very limited budgets. On that. So, okay, anything else? Anything, questions of that? Okay, our next meeting then will be May 15th at 8:30 a.m. And if there's nothing else, it will, again, it's usually the standard time on a Thursday. So if nothing else, I will adjourn the meeting at 9:09. Thank you all for coming and everything.